Imagine a really beautiful anime for a really, really sad story. Hello everyone, welcome to the Weeb Initiative. I'm your host, the Weeb. This is a show where every other week I'll be talking about anime, manga, and everything in between. This week I'll be talking about, given that we are on April, July on April, or Shigatsu wa Kimi no Uso. So before I start, some disclaimers. I'll be talking only about the anime. I will not be talking about the manga, nor the light novel, or the movie, or the stage musical. So just the anime. With that said though, I also want to stand the disclaimer of me not being expert on classical music and also not knowing anything really, and also this is the first, let's say, warning, heavy spoiler warning. If you are somehow someone in the year of our Lord 2026 or even after and doesn't actually know what happens in this anime, I would highly recommend you to get off of this episode and go watch it for yourself, due to the fact that this is an episode which I do not really want to enter too much in the story, because I don't think that it helps a lot with discussion, leading in parts to a shorter episode. But anyways, and also due to the fact that there is something that happens that is, I would say, not let's say presented at the front, which really does impact the story and basically becomes the whole of the ending of the anime itself. So I would highly recommend, if you don't know what actually happens in this anime, please leave and go watch it and then come back. But in that sense, I will provide to the ones that still choose to be here a bit of an explanation of the story and stuff. But again, I would prefer if you guys did yourselves a favor, and I really do mean it. It is better to watch this if you don't actually know what happens, and I will bring more these to light a bit more as we go on. Anyways, so with that being said, let's start with the stats. So I would just call it July on April going forward, because Shigatsu wa Kimi no Uso will be, I think, too long to keep track of, and or maybe Shigatsu even. Shigatsu, I think it's a bit better as a abbreviation of the name. Even then, next episode will be about Sangatsu no Lion, so that's something that will be a bit confusing, but either way. So Shigatsu is originally a manga written by Arakawa Naoshi, published by Kodansha. It originally ran from April 2011 to February 2015 with 11 volumes, which then leads to the fact that this is a shorter story than normally what I cover. But we'll get there when we get there. To everyone that actually knows what happens in this anime, so there's not really much that I can say. If you know what happens, you know what happens. And then the fact that we'll be discussing some pointers and some things that I noticed at the release, then that's a whole different topic. But I'll say that the whole impact of this anime happens the first time you watch it. I don't think there's much value to have added in a later rewatch. I don't know if there is so much stuff to actually analyze after that, but even then, so then the anime came out in October 2014 and ended on March 2015, near a bit after the end of the manga itself, with 22 episodes made by A1 Pictures. So in that sense, A1 being a really big and really well-known anime studio, there's that. Then we had the light novel with only one volume on November 2014, a spin-off manga with one volume on August 2016, and then the OVA on May 2015, a bit after the anime itself. It is, I'll say this rather early, but it is really nice to have the complementary content to the main story, though I'll discuss more a bit about the OVA a bit later. Then live action movie on 2016, and then stage music on 2020. So those are the stats. And this is the second warning. If you don't actually know what happens in this anime, please go watch it and then come back. I really prefer that you watch this before hearing me talk about it, because after this point, I will discuss what happened in the story, and then the whole thing kind of gets weird. So, Shigatsu basically is the story of our main protagonist, Kose, or Arima Kose. He being on junior high, and he being a prodigy at playing piano. He goes through competitions and other stuff, playing piano and stuff, but at the very start of the anime, we get to learn that Kose basically has given up on piano, and throughout the first episode, we get more or less the whole idea of the situation. So Kose has a really deep ingrained trauma related to playing piano due to his mother that has passed away at this point 2 years ago. So imagine that he's on junior high, 14 years old, and already having to dealing with the sorrow of losing his mother at an early age, and also having ingrained trauma in between the fact that his mother was the one that taught him how to play the piano, and playing the piano itself has become a traumatic experience. You could say that in some ways he has PTSD related to that, but I'm not here to diagnose. I'm not a psychiatrist whatsoever, so there's that. But it becomes really clear at the very beginning that playing the piano is not something that he enjoys at this point in the story, even though it is hinted that at some point in the past he may have liked to play it and so on and so forth. Outside of that, we get to meet our, let's say, two supporting characters throughout the story. Tsubaki, Kose's female childhood friend, who, and this is something that I'd rather say rather early than later, they raise the flag, in my opinion, and this may be a recurring thing on this review, but they raise the flag a bit way too early that she is the childhood friend that will be left behind, and they raise the whole flag about the fact that the childhood friends never end up with the main protagonist, and there's that. And then we get to meet also the supporting male character, Ryota, who's the captain of the soccer team at the school, and for the most part he's more of a player. He likes to run around and pick up girls and stuff. The whole thing kind of unravels to the fact that at one point, and this all goes on in the first episode, but we get then to meet our main female protagonist, our main love interest for the whole of the anime, Kaori, through double dates that Tsubaki kind of sets up, because from the very beginning we get to know that Kaori wants to date Ryota, and for that reason she asks Tsubaki to set up the double date and stuff. And the first thing that they do as a thing that they do together in the date is going to a preliminary stage of a violin competition, because Kaori plays the violin, plays classical music on the violin, and as such she enters competitions and so on and so forth, much like Kose would have done 2 years prior. And short to say that Kaori is introduced in the best way possible. She has a really strong personality from the get-go, spanks Kose because of a misunderstanding, that kind of general normal stuff that you would see in the mid-2010s in any romance manga whatsoever. So in that sense, it begins really well or really badly depending on how you see it. And for the most part, the thing that really gets things going is the fact that Kaori, in her way of doing things, she does, and sorry if I don't use the right terminology here. Again, I don't know anything about classical music. I don't really know anything technical about music whatsoever. So in that sense, this may come out as really badly. But anyways, the thing is that Kaori, when she plays the one score that she plays in this first competition, she does go out of the normal way that you would play it and try to show off, which then brings the fact that she gets eliminated. I think she gets eliminated at this first one. I don't actually remember. She gets eliminated at this first one because the idea is that you play the score as it is on the music sheet, and so she trying to show off and stuff and trying to, I would say, bring more energy to the song itself is let's say not really against the rules, but it is outside of the grading parameters, let's say, and as such her performance is really good in the eyes of the audience, but not really something that the judges like. So then everybody that watched it really liked it, but then everybody all the judges basically shunned her because of except for one. I don't even know if that guy is named whatsoever, but he's the one judge that is kind of chill with everything throughout the whole anime. Anyways, so the fact of the matter is, right, so going back to the fact of why we're here. So from the very beginning, we are on everybody's Kosei, Tsubaki, Ryota, and Kaori are all in the same date because it is a double date setup. And the first person, and this is the part where I think the anime kind of triggers the curiosity of the audience, really. The first person that Kaori asks, let's say, feedback for her performance out of everyone that's there is not Ryota, who she allegedly likes, but rather Kosei. And then this whole thing kind of unravels throughout the whole rest of the anime, and as such, the whole thing kind of develops from there. And throughout the anime, we will see that Kaori really sticks more and more to Kosei, and in that sense, and this is something that I would prefer to actually mention, is that the anime does a really nice job in trying to focus the perspective mostly on Kosei for the most part, and never actually shows the time that Ryota gets to be with Kaori, though it is heavily implied, and at some points we can kind of see on the, let's say, side eye, or maybe Kosei's on the other room and stuff, but we can see that Ryota has interactions with Kaori and stuff throughout the whole anime, but we never actually do see them. And for the most part, the whole thing revolves around Kosei himself. That is to say, and this is already going through the whole of the anime, right? So at the first part of the anime, so the first 12 episodes, let's say, where the first opening is oh my god, the first opening is so great. Where the first opening is, the main thing that we see as an overarching kind of theme is that it becomes a goal of Kaori to try to bring Kosei back to playing piano, and not really performing at a stage or a competition, but really to force him to face the piano again, so basically to engage in music again, because she understands that Kosei has a whole lot of trauma built up on him due to the piano, though she never really explains of how she knows that, or if she knows the depth that the trauma is festered, let's say, in Kosei, but she tries and does everything that she wants and everything that she can to actually try to bring Kosei back, so much so that she shoves him into the spot multiple times to try to make him play the piano. At one point, being she appoints him as her, and I butcher this, accompanist, I think. The one, let's say, she wants to enter a violin competition, but she needs a pianist to actually accompany her in the score, so basically she one-sidedly appoints him to do it, and as such the whole thing kind of goes from there. He does have a breakdown in the middle of the performance. He thanks her score and basically disqualifies her altogether, but it is pretty clear to the audience at the very least that she's there doing that not really because she wants to win. And this is something that the anime is pretty honest about, that she doesn't actually want to win the competition, but she wants to make a performance that people will never forget, which I need to take a moment to talk a bit later. But it is something that at the beginning is kind of cute, but later on, as things become clear, it kind of becomes, let's say, in hindsight, it may become a bit too heavy-handed, but I'll get there. And the fact of the matter is that it is something that they try and try again. So even to the point that Kaori involves Tsubaki and Ryota to actually try to force Kosei to really get back on his feet and actually go play the piano, which then leads to a whole nother thing and a whole lot of different things that happen and scenes and stuff that are all pretty cute in themselves and pretty nice. When she chooses him as the pianist for her score in the competition, it is one of those. I'm not saying that this is bad, right? So, but they do the same cliche about running to a play, the two of them, in the case of four of them, running to a place on bikes and stuff and asking if the bike's stolen. The whole 9 yards of the normal mid-2010s romance stuff, which in itself is pretty nice, accompanied with the animation and art from A1. It's pretty great. I'll talk more about the studio part of things a bit later, but easy to say that this anime really does a really great job to portray the emotions that they try to convey, which then leads me to talk about the second season. So the first season kind of ends with Kosei having kind of regained a bit of his liking to the piano, even though the let's say the path is not a smooth one. He goes through a whole lot of flashbacks and going through trauma and showing the different facets of how his past experiences affect him nowadays. But it ends up being something that really helps him by the end. The first season goes through the whole thing and actually shows the fact that he lost his mother really early, and his mother did instill in him kind of hostility due to the way that she taught him how to play the piano at some point. But it becomes, and this is something that becomes more concrete towards the second season, it becomes kind of tough love, more of I'd say he kind of filters out the bad memories and really reminds him of what brought him to like the piano in the first place, the let's say the nice part of his mother and the memories of her. And then after that he kind of goes he becomes better, he makes up with the piano, he makes up with music itself, let's say. And this whole thing kind of culminates in the end of season 1 when he gets to play alone, whereas he needed to, let's say, it is one part of the competition, I think, where he and Kaori will play again together, but then Kaori has accident at home and he solos it. It obviously ends up with them being killed, but the fact of the matter is that he shows up, he does a really nice show and basically kind of wrecks everybody else in that one competition. Though, when this is a different story altogether. The first season ends with Kaori at the hospital. The second season starts. They go to meet her at the hospital because she's still hospitalized doing tests and stuff. And we kind of learn what more or less happened from her perspective, or at the very least the way that she tells it. And the whole thing kind of goes the way that you think. Kosei is kind of awkward between the whole thing because at this point he gets the fact he likes her, even though she, again, allegedly likes Ryota, and so he doesn't want to actually get in the way of the two of them because Ryota is his best friend and whatever. You know the drill. And the whole thing kind of goes from there. to the second season being really more emotional, because at the first season we have this whole build up of like all this character-centric threads of everything that happens. Basically, Lyota's kind of shoved to the side in this part, but it becomes really clear, and this is something that, again, they cement more in the second season, that TWI likes Kosei, but doesn't really want to admit it herself, because she's kind of a tomboy, more or less, though she's cute, but that's not here nor there. And she actually kind of gets I don't know how do you say that in English, but it's kind of revenge boyfriend. She kind of gets a high school senpai to actually be her boyfriend for some time, but it's clear from the get-go to the audience that she's just doing that just to kind of try to forget the fact that she's frustrated because she can't get Kosei, because Kosei likes Kaori, and this is like pretty clear from the get-go. So it gets to that point, and then there is the fact that Kosei kind of notices that he likes Kaori, and that most of his, let's say, newly found inner strength is due to her influence, and because of that he likes her. But then there's always this awkward kind of stuff, but also at the same time, whenever Kaori gets the chance, she will choose to, and this is kind of the way that the anime portrays it, not really the way that, let's say, facts are done. I don't know if the source material is different, but either way, Kaori will always try to meet Kosei separately from everyone, which then brings up the question of what does she want with Kosei if we assume that the fact that she likes Ryota is true, right? And that's the whole thing, right? So there is this whole emotional development going on in the second season that ends up with a whole lot of crying. It's really terrible. And there is the introduction later on of two pianist rivals for Kosei, Takeshi and Emi. Emi has unrequited love for Kosei because of things that happened in their childhood, and Takeshi has, let's say, platonic admiration because of something that happened in their childhood too. Though in the fact that this, I would say, childhood, and this is, oh my god, this is the thing that really gets me about this whole anime and the whole portrayal of everything. I don't understand why this anime was set up to happen in junior high, because there is like this divide in the anime of childhood time and then now time, and the childhood time is just 2 years apart, but in the way that they characterize this in the anime, the kids are like really small 2 years ago, and then in 2 years they just spurt up and they are still like 14 years old. I mean, it becomes kind of weird, because this is not high school, this is like junior high, and like, man, they really do seem like they aged a lot, and most of the setup is high school stuff. It becomes really weird, but that's not here nor there. So basically, there's this whole emotional thing of happening and stuff, and the thing that, and again, this is the last warning, okay? So if you don't know what happens in this fucking anime and don't want to get spoiled, because this spoiler really messes up the way that you watch this, get out this last warning. So in the between of everything happening, the whole emotional stuff with throughout the whole thing, Tsubaki kind of crashing out on Kosei, and then Kosei crashing out on himself and stuff, and the introduction of Hiroko and the whole thing, and Nagi, and the whole thing. In the between of that, they dropped the bomb, and I mean, from the start of the second season, the middle of the second season, I think it becomes really clear. But Kaori has an undefined terminal illness, and she needs to get some kind of really tough surgery to actually try to get it fixed. And the whole thing kind of, it's really not nice, The whole thing is, man, it's really hard to actually describe this, because there is this one point, and this is like, I think, really near the end of the anime. I think it's 1 or 2 episodes to the end of the anime, where Ryota and Kose finally kind of got their shit together and actually discussed this whole thing. And Kose has finally admitted that he likes Kaori to Ryota. And when they are like laughing it up and going to visit her, they see her in the middle of a seizure in the hospital, and then the whole thing kind of goes out of, oh my god, it really does wreck your heart, man. And then from then on, there is a whole setup because he goes down the dumps and Kose gets like really bad, and then Hiroko has to act as his. It's an act of tough love. I understand both sides, but I do think that she did it in the best way that she could, because she has to act as his mother, more or less, and so she basically forces him to actually face the facts and go through, because at that point he was in a competition and he had to play it, and as such, he being down in the dumps, he didn't want to do it and stuff. And then she forces him, and then the last episode happens. And easy to say the last episode is beautiful. It is, in a way, shape, or form, something that is cheap. This anime is, if at that point you didn't think that the whole of the production value wasn't there, if you didn't think that it was worth it, I think that the last episode, it does bring out that thing. So it does bring out everything that the production value that they had to actually grab and do, everything that they had to put in this anime, they put it in and never looked back. It is a beautiful scene, a marvelous way to actually show everything and do everything, and this is the thing, right? So I have, and this is the moment that I will never really forget this anime, but I really had a whole lot of critiques about this, a whole lot of bad things to say. I had a whole lot of nitpicks that I wanted to actually shove it in and just say, oh, this anime is not that great and stuff. And that is to say that the way that they showed everything and everyone that worked in this anime really did their job right. And this is something that is, let's say, subconscious about this, because even though I'm kind of a cynic shard at this point, pushing 30, at that point in the last episode, I started to cry, like gouging my eyes out, and I couldn't really control it, because I was just thinking like, oh my god, man, I really hate a whole lot of things about this anime, and still I'm here crying it out, like really trying to like hiccup out of crying, and I just can't, right? I just can't. There are tears in my eyes, and I really can't criticize the way that they did it, because at this point I was just, oh my god. And the worst thing is, right, so this anime is really great in that sense. If you want to feel oh my god, if you want to feel bad, if you think that your life is, oh no, I'm great today, you know what I need a whole lot of crying. You go watch this. It's really nice. What a terrible anime to actually watch. Oh my god. And so I don't even know how to continue this review. I'll try to round it out to everything that I kind of, the first things I don't like, right? So first, the things that it's really not that I don't like, but things that I don't appreciate as much. So first things first, right? So something that I don't really like about this anime in general, and this is something that it is on me more than the anime itself. I don't know if the manga is that way, but the anime is, I think, really guilty of doing it, is that they plant the flags way too early and way too brazenly. So the childhood friend flag of Tsubaki is out and about in the first episode. It becomes really clear from that point on. Second thing about flags is the way that Kaori talks from the get-go, and this is something that, and I will at the very least give this sub I know that there is a dub for this anime. I did not watch it with the dub, I watched it with the sub, so there's that. I know the sub does an okay work of trying to hide some of the flags that Kaori herself plants, and it is due to dialogue stuff and the way that the intensity that she talks, the precise vocabulary that she uses when expressing some things. It becomes really clear that they are planting a really bad flag that she's going to die at the end of the anime. It's pretty clear if you understand, and this is me that understands a bit of Japanese saying this. Kaori makes it way too easy to understand the fact that she's the thing that she's like going to die at the end of the anime, and this is something that happens from the very beginning. She talks that way from, I don't know if from the first episode, but from like the third or fourth episode forward, it becomes pretty clear that she's planting a flag, and I didn't like that. It becomes way worse later on because I think that this is in the middle of the second season. There's a scene where she goes to the bathroom and has a whole lot of medicine with her, and that in itself is the anime kind of shoving into the audience face like, yeah man, something is wrong. You know why she went to the hospital in the first place? Yeah, probably will happen again. And I don't really appreciate that. I think it's way too front loaded. The medicine part, the way that she talks was a flag, but you could say that was not, but in a way, you know, and this kind of brings me to the second thing, right? So watching this anime is really hard because at this point this anime is so well known by everyone and so well documented by anyone who had internet connection back in 2015, that if somehow someone who actually is watching this in 2026 or further, if they don't actually know what happens, that's perfect. And this is the thing, right? So I never actually watched this before I did this. I chose this to do the review, but I did know what happened by the end, and this really wrecked me because then I started to look for the signals that they would leave for why that happened, and in that sense it really kind of get me the wrong way. So I really would prefer if I didn't actually know what the hell happened before I started the fucking anime, right? So I think that the shock value would have been way better. But at the same time, I don't know, it's just a thing of don't spoil your friends, maybe. I do the spoiler warning every time because I know that some people don't like it, and this is one of the cases that I would really prefer that people don't get spoiled, because I think that if you don't actually know what happens by the end, the value of the anime gets way higher. But then again, this may be just me. Then there is, oh my god, there are so many things, man. So rounds out some idiotic stuff, right? So I already talked about how I don't understand how this was done in a junior high setting, because it doesn't like sit right. Like this was done back in the mid to 2010s, which then leads me to one of the things that I thought about while watching this is that there's a whole lot of one-liners that the characters spill out and stuff. And while I mean it's normal for anime and manga and stuff, but would you remember that some of these guys are like 14 years old? You go like, man, you were just a kid, right? And again, this is maybe just me being a jaded pushing 30, but a jaded pushing 30, but it's still, but come on, like 14 years old, I was like playing Pokemon and doing whatever. Like I know the fact that people want to try to get romantic interest earlier on in their life and stuff, but the way that they cry about it is, they should not have that teenage angst at 14. I don't feel like it at the release. I would accept it at 16, 17, and 18 and stuff. That is the teenage angst kind of age bracket, but 14, I think it's a bit early. I don't know. Either way, so that's one of the things. The other thing is things that I find way too similar, right? So first things first, right? So how design-wise at the very least. Design-wise, I'm not talking art-wise, because art-wise I could not compare this to anything, but design-wise, Kaori is too similar to Shitoge from Nisekoi, in my opinion. Though it's these are really like whatever nitpicks, but I would want to actually share them. So there's that. It doesn't really bother me, but it's something that kind of got to me somewhat. The next thing is the fact that Nagi, that is introduced in the second season. My god, man, I looked at her at first glance and I was like, holy shit, am I watching Madoka? It's Mummy, like, all over again. It is like 1-for-1 like adaptation of art style. It's Mummy. It's Mummy. I know she doesn't have the drills, but you know what I mean. Then there is this whole thing of throughout the whole anime, and again, this may just be me, but here I go again with the nitpicks. I felt way too many Toradora vibes from this anime overall. So I know that the setup is different. Toradora is actually high school. Toradora, we have one more character on Ami. I know that the characters are developed different. I know that Yuji and Kosei are not really similar. I know that for the most part Kaori and Taiga are not really similar and stuff, but either way it has a lot of those vibes. The whole thing about the love triangle, the way that one of the friends likes the other, and then the other, and then we get to this love polygon because Taiga likes the other guy, and then Ryuji likes Taiga, but then and the whole thing kind of goes from there. So there is this whole kind of weird stuff, and really, like, I don't know, things that I wish weren't there, but even then, and kind of the whole thing kind of got, I don't know, really not great, because at some point it kind of become jarring when talking about like how much Kosei beats himself. For the most part, at some point you just wanted to like, come on man, we already been through this, grow up there and go there and face your problems. And I don't know if it was just me, but at the same time, I don't think, I mean, the story didn't want to, there wouldn't be any drama if he grew up here and just faced his problem. But at the same time, the story kind of breaks whenever he gets to the point that he basically gets tongue-locked by something. But then, after saying that, I need to talk about the nice things that I like. So, one thing that I really thought that was positive, before talking about the studios, the production stuff, talking about story itself, I really did like all the characterization. I think the characters themselves are pretty okay. As I said, the Yota, I think it's kind of shoved to the side, but is by design rather than something that the studio kind of adapted, because of the fact that he's more or less an obstacle for the most part and not really someone that develops the plot. Given that, I really like Tsubaki's character because I think that she was, for the most part, a really nice addition. She is really cute in the way that she does things, and especially in the flashbacks, I think it's especially cute. Towards Kosei, I think it's nice. Kosei's kind of way of reminiscing now, but kind of trying to make up with his past is kind of a nice touch. I think that the flashbacks, I think, is the really nice spice that this anime brings, because you know all the context of the now times, but then when they show the old times, let's say the kids actually playing it out around and stuff, it's really cute. In that way, it's really wholesome, really cute. And in that same manner, I think the introduction of the Kosei's rivals, Takeshi and Emi and Nagi, for some in a way, it is really well done. I think that Takeshi's himself is not really well explained, or not really, let's say, doesn't seem like something a 12-year-old kid would say or do, but whatever floats your boat, I guess. I think Amy, however, I think it's nice. It's a bit more wholesome, kind of cute moment to see the way that she goes up the forest gym, and it's nice. It's kind of cute. And I think that for the most part is it. The whole anime itself, outside of the things that happen in the end, it's pretty nice. Especially, and again, I can't stress this enough, that last scene, man. That last scene is so much cheating. It's cheating. It tugs at your heartstrings so hard. Oh my god. And this is the thing, right? And this is the climax, really. It's bittersweet because it is really nice, and at the same time, you know, in the back of your mind that this is the worst thing that could happen. It's the worst thing. So, oh my god, man. Oh my god. I felt so bad watching that. My god. Anyways, let's push forward. So, talking about the production, and I am recurring, let's say, A1 hater. Not really hater, but I am a valiant critic of them. And the fact of the matter is, this anime, I could not, if I tried, I could not criticize them negatively about anything in this anime. I think this anime is, I'll not say perfect, but due to the story and things that are not related to the production of the anime itself. But in regards to production itself, it is a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. It really ticks all the boxes. The art style is unique and really interesting. It does show off a whole lot of emotion throughout the whole thing. All of the characters are great at showing emotion. The whole setting, the whole composure of scenes, the amount of color, the way that they move, and this is something that I cannot stress enough. The fact that they do not use 3D whatsoever on the animation of the guys playing either piano or violin, added to the fact that the playing is synced with the music, it is a 10 out of 10. I could not, if I tried, criticize any of them, because just the work of syncing the animation to the song is already terrifying when you do in 3D. They did it drawing that stuff on 2D, on original, let's say homegrown, not CGI. That's fucking drawn. It is incredible amount of work. I could not, if I tried to criticize that. I could not, if I tried to criticize them on anything, just on the credit of them doing a full 2D animation for the playing of the instruments. I could. There is no criticizing that, and that shields them from criticism in regards to that. In my opinion, it kind of does, because outside of that, there's nothing that I could really like. There's nothing that I could think, because in terms of animation, it's perfect. The whole thing, from the gags to the playing of the instruments to normal stuff, is really nice. Then you go to the composure, presentation, whole 9 yards. It's perfect. The colors that they use, the set design, the whole background, and everything that happens, pretty nice. A little tangent about generally kids that are not part of the plot. They are little chibi ones, and like with their more simple eyes. It's kind of cute in the own way. It's the style they chose to. I think it remarks the original source material. I did not really get to see much of the manga, but still. And not only that, right? So when talking about the main thing of this anime, that is the music, it's perfect. It is really perfect. I don't know who they got in to actually play the scores the way they did. I don't know if the VAs actually did it. If they did, they are unironically like, oh my god, if the VAs actually played the instruments that great, they could have gone through professional play, whatever, because there's nothing there. Like, music is impeccable in this anime, from the normal like playing and stuff to the scenes where Kose gets drowned in his own darkness and stuff. The way that it hits the notes in the piano, and there is only like the sound of water, and then when you go out, you actually hear him going ham in the piano and stuff. It's really perfect in that sense. The whole thing is perfect. VA work also, and again, this is something that I mention a lot. I couldn't nowadays we cannot, like, I could not find a performance that I felt like it was below standard, because right now we have a really high standard for VSAUs, for VA work in terms of Japanese at the release. I don't watch the dubs, I don't know, but the VAs actually portray the characters perfectly. It's really impeccable the way that they do it. It's without any faults, any flaws on anything. It's really, really nice. Then we get to the fact that, I'd say, and this is the thing, right? So the way the composure is really nice. Oh my god, man. I always remember the last scene. That last scene is miles ahead of anything. I think in that era of anime, if I'm being completely honest, from what I remember at the release, from the colors to the sound to the animation, the way that they do it, everything, it's really nice, really well done. The production value is there, and that is why, again, I think in terms of the work of the studio and the VAs, it's flawless. This anime is flawless in that sense. What else could I add to this? This anime is really great. It does feel like Toradora at times, which there's that. A quick bit about the OVAs. You wanted to drive a prick through your heart after watching the end of the anime. You know what you do? You go watch the OVA. You know what the OVA is? The OVA is just a collection of all of the flashbacks of everyone, and this is something that they do throughout the anime that I really find kind of amusing, is that they do something from, like, Kosei's perspective, but it's something that the other person has a different, like, reason to do, and then they go in the next, like, segment and go through there. The most, I think, prominent thing is when they go visit Kaori. I think it's the first time they go visit her, because they go visit her and then she says, like, oh, it's the first time that I actually had this problem and stuff, and they don't actually know what the accident was. But then we then get to her perspective and actually see the flashback of everything that happened. It's something that I think that it does help the audience get more involved with the characters itself. So there's that, but talk only about the OVA. Man, what a nice OVA to see everyone little and actually seeing how, at the end of the day, Kosei was the catalyst to everything that happened. And even though it's really sad at some points, it's really nice to see the things kind of go on to evolve to what we see. And also because, as I say multiple times in this kind of reviews, I find it really cute when the characters are kind of, let's say, baby stage, because it's really, really cute, really, really wholesome. And seeing Kaori as a kid was really refreshing, even though I was really crying still watching that. And well, yeah, you know the rest. And to finalize, really, I want to talk about the end of the anime, the very, very end of the anime, the letter that she leaves Kosei with. I think that it is, in a way, when I first watched it, I was like, oh my god, this was made just for me. Because, and this is the thing, right? So at some point you will think, like, okay, everything is going on, and okay, right, whatever, and you remember the title, like, you lie on April. Like, what is the lie that happened on April? Because at first, and this is the thing, right? So the one lie that I could easily pick out, and I think that most people easily pick out, is the fact that when Kaori says that it is the first time that she's at the hospital because of something, it becomes really clear, and it is like context clues and stuff. It becomes really clear that she's lying, and from that point on, I think that every single lie that she tells becomes more apparent. But in that sense, I think that one lie is kind of a red herring itself, because if you think, and this is my process of thinking about it, if you think that the main lie, the lie of April, is the fact that it's the first time that she went to the hospital, you already kind of went off the track, because, and this, she explains this, right? So the original lie is that she likes Ryota. The original thing was she liked Kosei but couldn't actually say it, and so she lied about liking Ryota. And that was, to me at the release, a really captivating experience. It was kind of cathartic in that way, to actually know that there was a method to the madness. It actually explained everything that she did from the very beginning, and it really did kind of get it really did help, let's say, me understand more of the plot, and really did encapsulate everything that needed to be understood there. I think that the letter at the end of the anime is the author kind of clearing out anything, because I think everybody that watches this, and even though they know the ending and stuff, they will catch on to one of her lies, because she lies a lot throughout the whole anime, but they will never actually know which is the real one. And at the end of the anime is basically the author kind of explaining where the name came from, which in my opinion, it was really nice, a really nice touch. And with that said, thank you guys for listening, thank you guys for watching. Please like, please share, please follow, depending on the platform you're in, and I hope to stick around for next time. But before I say bye, and this is something that is only for the ones that really stick to the end, I have an update on my trip to Japan. I will have to postpone that to next year due to both work related and personal life related, and the tomfoolery they are doing in the Middle East and everything else. So because of that, I will close down for the meanwhile. I will close down the Buy Me a Coffee. If anyone actually put money on there, I will try to refund everything, and so there's that. So again, for everyone that listened to this to this very end, thank you guys for listening, and I hope to stick around for next time. Bye.